The Kings are dead. The banner restriction announcement has taken its place, and we all know what happened on Monday, basically yesterday. So,
welcome to In Response, a Legacy podcast. Whether you're a dedicated player or just curious about Legacy, join us as we share ideas, discuss decks, and have some fun along the way.
Peter, just tell us a little bit what has happened with the Kings of Legacy.
Yeah, I mean, the Kings got kind of dethroned there. We got a little bit of an execution, a new red wedding in Legacy happening right now. And yeah, an old king in the form of Entomb got executed. And one of the newer cards, a wizard king in its sword, Nadu Wing Wisdom, got also eliminated from the Legacy metagame.
Daniel, was that something that you expected, to be honest?
No. In this combination, I did not expect this at all.
I'm pretty sure nobody expected this.
Yeah.
It was just insane.
Yeah, it was really insane, I have to say. I think if you look back at what we talked about in our latest episode where we talked about our predictions, I think nobody of us three actually predicted this scenario. We all either thought, okay, I don't know changes, which were still most likely, or just a combination maybe of Tamiyo and Entomb. And yeah, the funny thing is that Tamiyo was not really mentioned at all in this announcement. Not with a single word.
Yeah, I don't get it myself, because when you look past the last episode, we talked lengths about the problems with Tamiyo. So not a single mention in the article of Tamiyo is really what baffled me.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to understand, because like previously when we had any other ban and restricted announcements, there was always kind of the thing with, okay, at the end we talk about cards that we view as problematic maybe for Legacy, or like power line outliers there, and there was no such section there. So it was only the explanation for why we banned Entomb. Basically, they banned around Entomb so that one can make the Reanimator deck basically on an equal power level to the other decks in the metagame, but it didn't happen, so they had to ban Entomb. And yeah, it was kind of frustrating for me, because I usually expect at the end, so hey, this is how we view the format, and maybe we have some cards that are a little bit more strong, like as we talked in length in the last episode, Tamiyo and the One Ring. Nobody expected to get hit by Nadu before those two cards.
Yeah.
And yeah, kind of interesting.
Yeah, Nadu was always just the fourth in the line. It's like, yeah, at first you have to ban Tamiyo, and then you have to ban Entomb, and then you have to ban the One Ring, because Dimir gets too good, and if you hit those three, you probably have to hit Nadu as well, because it's the next best thing in line, and then suddenly we are getting Entomb and Nadu.
What I personally think is really funny about this is I think Tamiyo as a standalone card is actually more powerful than Nadu. But maybe in the context of Legacy, what maybe values what I see now, how they did the announcement and how they handled it, it's not only about that, but yeah, maybe the numbers also doesn't support it. I think I was, in a sense, surprised that they deviated from their strategy that they have communicated the last couple of years, which is sacred cows are sacred. And now, I mean, in a sense, I think it actually is positive, because I think you should be able to adapt based on new situation that comes up. I think this is actually a positive thing, that Wizards is able to rethink their position and then adjust to what's basically on the table. On the other hand, of course, it's now pity, because I think, especially for a card like Troll of Khazad-dûm, I guess the ban would not be necessary if we would have hit Entomb first.
Yeah.
Frog, Grief likely would have still gotten the X, I think. But for example, this Troll is now gone, and they are not really at the market to unbanning things which are not unrightfully, let's say, on the ban list. So
yeah, I kind of want to chime in here because like a few things are getting mentioned. I think in this sort of the meta game, you don't really want to unban anything. We kind of want to see how the meta now shakes up after the bannings, because the announcement in itself is quite huge, because it's hitting a lot of the top decks here, at least 3 of them basically. And another thing that you mentioned is like Entomb being a sacred cow. And for me personally, I get Entomb is a really old card. It was, I think, 5,500, around 5,500 days in the legacy metagame, so around 13, 14 years. But I think it has a pretty big problem in itself, as it's, and they said it's like pod basically in modern for a short period of time, or even with Survival of the Fittest, for example, for legacy, because like all those cards really restrict design space in the creature perspectives.
Yeah.
And with Entomb, if you ban like Atraxa, some guys mentioned, it's like whenever they print a similar thing or a little bit stronger card in itself, Entomb is again making the problems. So I get they had to get rid of it because it's just problematic in itself.
Do you think, Daniel, that the banning of Entomb is maybe a precedent for, don't know, maybe we're going into more modern style Battlecruiser ships passing in the night style of Magic in Legacy?
you mean now because Entomb is gone?
Yeah, because not because Entomb is gone, but do you fear that if more sacred cows will get the X because they're too strong, or maybe like Peter said, they're restricting the design space for more fire design cards, do you fear the danger of going into a Battlecruiser style Magic where everyone just here's my Siege Rhino, and here's my Siege Rhino, and we're just 2 ship padding in the night? And
so do you mean like if they would continue with the trend that we have basically a modern 2.0 or something like that?
Yeah.
I personally don't fear that. No. Also, I think they mentioned it in the article that this is really an exception now. That the situation basically it ties their hands and they have to do it now. And I respect that actually. And I don't think that this will now open the floor for, I don't know, days, brainstorm ban or something like that. If they do it, I think this would be way too much. And I think then you can omit the formats as a whole at this point, I think. So I would not be fearing that at all. Entomb is just really the necessary card that we saw it in the last couple of years. And I think it's in that sense quite fair, because you cannot predict how a card will evolve in the course of, I don't know if you want to look into the future of 5 years or something like that. But we have seen that you need to ban all the time cards around that. Either plan B creatures like Frog, and I guess now the discussion point would be also Tamiyo, or the reanimation creatures, as you mentioned, Peter, are at this level in power that there is no other options. So you cannot just run your Grizzlebrand, your Tidesprout Tyrant or something like that. Those are not on the same power level as Atraxa and Archon, and so it is very streamlined. It also required a very small card package, only the 4 Entombs, the 4 Reanimates, and the 2 creatures, and you can build the whole other deck in a different strategy. And this is, I guess, the core at this point. So this is really a specific case. And I think that other than that, I don't think there will be anything, unless we have a similar situation, of course, but I don't see that anytime soon, actually, no. So I'm actually sleeping well.
Okay, so just to pick up on that, a small question for you, Peter. Isn't that what Daniel has said? The same discussion that we had the last 2 to 3 years with Days?
No, because like I think Days is from a pillar perspective on a way different level. I think the best prescription that I heard for Entomb is like, it was maybe a secondary pillar. It was an old card that defined a lot of decks or a few decks in Legacy over the time, but Daze is format defining. Entomb is deck defining, I want to say, or strategy defining. Because like without Daze in a metagame, without Force of the Will in the metagame, this unlocks the formats to a whole new level. Because like with Daze, with Force of Will, you have so much restriction against other faster strategies. And without those safety steps, basically, it would inherently ruin the format with those cards being gone. And with that in mind, I don't really think that from Wizards, from a control perspective on the format, it will evolve into a Battlecruiser style. It's just inherently, if you design new cards, if you go into new design spaces, that the format will get faster in its own, or the answers, but they've shown us that they don't want to print too strong of an answer. So in regard of that, the threats will get better and better all over the time. So over the next 20 years, Legacy will basically evolve into a little bit more of a Battlecruiser style game in itself, but it should be slowly evolving at this point. Not really that fast, and we had like in 2019, 2020.
Yeah, beginning of file design was certainly one of the breaking points for Legacy, where it simply evolved into power creep territory. So, speaking of power creep territory, we're talking about now about what is really missing from this ban restriction announcement, and we can probably everyone put our finger through it.
Yeah, it's a ring. No, I mean the ring also, but one of the key missing and the main point of the last video was, or the last episode was Tamiyo, and there I heard on the internet, or I read the best argument because why they didn't ban Tamiyo. And I don't really want it to be the reason that they didn't ban Tamiyo, but on the other hand, I want it to be.
What is the reason?
The reasoning is we have now a lot of people preparing for Eternal Weekend with blue-black Reanimator and blue-black Tempo. I think those make around 25% of the metagame. All of those players are playing blue-black strategies. And if you ban basically the two best blue-black decks for all those players, if you think about like 1,000 people for Eternal Weekend Europe now, are getting rid of both their options, because like a lot of the players, and I think Daniel, you're one of them, is on blue-black Reanimator, and you get Entomb banned, you have a very, very easy switch onto blue-black Tempo, because you know a lot of situations with the deck, you have the cards or most of the expensive cards, and then for 1.5 weeks it will be impossible to switch to another strategy. If you don't really have the duels at home, you don't have to expect it. So the reasoning was because the players can't switch from blue-black Reanimator and blue-black Tempo to a different strategies. It's the reason they only banned Entomb, because then with Tamiyo in place, you can switch to blue-black Tempo. And I don't really want it to be the reason, but on the other hand, it would be really nice if it's the reason, because then it means Tamiyo is gone in 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a nice lookout, to be honest.
Well, I can see that argument, I have to say it, but I also think, would you make, I think data shown that they are more, like, legacy bans are very, slow. And of course, we look at the format that is 20 years plus, and I don't know if we make decisions that is for a format of legacy that is in the scope of 20 years, 30 years, and hopefully another amount of that years just for a single tournament. I think in that sense, yes, it makes, I can see it somehow. But what I like actually a little bit better is, I think what you mentioned before when it comes to Entomb. Entomb was a deck-defining card.
Yeah.
And not a strategy-defining card. And actually, if you think of Tamiyo, it is also not a deck-defining card. It is a strategy-defining card. It sees a lot play in a lot of different blue decks. In that sense, it kind of enables diversity of some sort. It's not just in one deck.
Yeah.
So I actually see it maybe from this point of view that Tamiyo now is off the table. And we know, of course, well, without Tamiyo, Tempo is pretty much gone. Reanimator, I think, would be gone until it finds the next best option. And also Jeskai Control is gone. I don't know. There's a lot of decks that play Tamiyo that are just more or less gone. And of course, yes, this would kind of reshake the format also a little bit. But we now, they wanted just to target Reanimator, I guess, with that. And then in that case, it's just Entomb that makes sense. So, yeah. I thought a little bit about this actually. And this is why I think for me, at least personally, I would come to this conclusion why they didn't touch Tamiyo for now.
Yeah. But for me, this seems like Tamiyo has even more similarities to Deathrite Shaman as a strategy defining threat, defining card.
Yeah.
And doesn't that lead to a sense of
It can be
false diversity in the format?
It can be. Yeah, absolutely. We now saw Tamiyo before the bans in a Tempo deck, in the Reanimator deck, Jeskai Control, Nadu decks essentially also had it.
Doomsday?
And Doomsday, I think, depending on the version, but yes, yeah, they also played it, exactly. And yeah, so, well,
around 50% of them.
Maybe strategy defining was the wrong word, because when I look at the spread of these decks, we have a combo deck, we have a tempo deck, we have a control deck,
which puts it even more into Deathrite Shaman category.
Yeah, of course. I see what you mean, because it slots into all of these strategies, and it's a kind of a soup argument, right? Yes.
Yeah, it's a soup argument, because Deathrite Shaman was put into everything because it was the best thing you could do. And it's like, the decks even had names like Blue Soup.
Yeah. Of course, we will have to see if that will be coming the case in Trune. I guess they will be evaluating that in the next announcement, of course.
Yeah. And maybe they felt like with the reanimation targets gone, maybe we get an increase in cards like Prismatic Ending, or maybe cards that can deal with a Tamiyo for 1 mana or something like that. So it can be more safe with Tamiyo in the meta game, because you have more basically answers to the card. Because like Prismatic Ending, unplayable basically against Blue-Black Reanimator. Because like it doesn't hit the one strategy. And you really want to have answers for both of those. Because like you die with a Surgical in hand against the Tamiyo, or you die with a Prismatic Ending in hand
against Archon.
Against Argon, it's dumb, but it was happening.
I have to say, overall, thinking about the announcement, the only thing that I personally, this is just pretty subjective, I would have liked to still keep Nadu, and I would have just banned maybe Tamiyo, but this is what I anyway also said the last episode. This is maybe what I feel different. Other than that, I think it's okay. It's actually a good banning somehow.
The thing that is missing is, for me personally, the outlook of the format. It's such a small segment usually, but it means so much for me as a player. And I really dislike that they didn't do it. Because like they did it for so long, and then you just, besides like a little bit technically, but the website on mobile is so horrible to use. With the deck list, the scrolling, it's horrible. Please change it for the mobile site. But you really want to have the outlook there. I mean, you now get 12 deck lists for Legacy. Cool.
Yeah,
the format is over and also getting banned. But I really want to have an outlook, because if you make a ban and restricted announcement, you have to say us how they think the format is. And I get it. They make reasonings for the bannings in there, but I want to.
Maybe they don't know yet. Yes, might be just a simple reason, because it's somewhat, for Legacy perspective, it's actually a deep change, I would say. A big change.
2 cards getting banned is a huge shakeup. I mean, we all would love an even bigger shakeup, but that's probably the best that we can get.
I mean, with Nadu, a lot of decks actually got gone. But other than that, last year we also got 2 cards banned on the same time for Psychic Frog and Bobble.
Of course.
And over the year, nothing changed.
The same decks in the top 8 of the Eternal Weekend of
Because like Nadu decks were there. I mean, they are gone for now. Or Breakfast was there. We had Mystic Forge, we had Reanimator. And this year in NA, we had Mystic Forge, Nadu decks, and Reanimators.
Yeah.
Maybe something changes now.
Yeah, this time I'm pretty sure we can see a little of Kata.
Let's talk about the decks, right?
Yeah.
About the
New Kings.
Yeah, New Kings.
The New Kings. Yeah, that's pretty fine. So the Kings are dead. The Kings.
So one option is actually, I will just put it on table and then leave it like that. Remove Entomb and add Atraxas from your deck. Put for Unmarked Grave and a second Achron and then play the same deck, for example.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I personally don't think it's good, but
Yeah, me too. That's why I think it's fine.
yes.
I mean, it's way worse.
Yeah, of course.
But if you splash green now and you play Worldly Tutor with a Surveillant,
Build your own Entomb.
I mean, it will get very interesting how the meta shakes up. I think for Eternal Weekend Europe, Reanimator is a non-topic there. Maybe we can talk about it in like 2 or 3 months when a lot more of like deck development is happening. Because I think the guys will try to keep Reanimator alive as it's in the voice of a Necromancer. Yeah,
it will be tried for sure in some way, but I also think it will disappear now, really. And of course, the big winner on the table is Mystic Forge. I think this is the one that wasn't addressed at all. Is pretty strong and still is, and I guess this would be the number 1, let's say public enemy number 1 for now.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see how the meta shakes up in regards to Mystic Forge, because this deck is now the biggest target on its head ever.
Yeah. And maybe you have to actually anticipate that a little bit. In a sense, people would basically exchange Graveyard Hate for Artifact Hate, right? I think at least 4 consigns now in the sideboard is like a fixed point of view for any blue deck. And that leaves a little bit of room, I think, if you think about it smartly, to other graveyard decks, actually.
Yeah, that's true. That's also one of my biggest thoughts regarding Eternal Weekend, if I shouldn't play Oops instead.
Yeah. Oops is a big winner for sure. Yeah. It hasn't the splash damage. And if people really skimp on Graveyard Hate, you have now the time to shine, and I guess you're fine against Mystic Forge naturally, I would assume. Unless there are some...
In 1, yeah, we're pretty fine. Yeah, to be honest, because they have to have Cosmic's Command and the mana for it to work. If you just turn 1 down, that's easy.
I mean, it's just 1 card, it's okay, I would say.
Yeah, and after sideboarding, I mean, they are putting in a lot of hate. So then it gets way, way worse. But you have the tools to work around, so I don't think it's essentially a bad matchup for Oops.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean for the sideboards, you have to play against like the 4 consigned to memory. But I think besides the 4 consigned to memory in blue decks, I think we can expect for sure 1 to 2 additional copies of Nullrod. So I think
if you have the space,
if you have the space, but
because this is really a lot.
I wouldn't play 6 dedicated hate cards from Mystic Forge. No,
I think it's also too much.
I think we are in kind of the spectrum.
At the moment, it's like normal is 2.
No, we had 2 Nullrods and 2 consign in a lot of them.
Reanimator didn't really play it because
they went under it.
Yeah, just combo. And Tempo had like 1 or 2 copies for sure, and then 3 consigns, something like that. I think consign is a little bit more flexible.
Yeah.
I like it against all remaining Thassa's Oracle decks for sure. And I also like it, well, for anything that is, Underworld doesn't shut the deck down, to be honest.
No, yeah, it never. It's just a small, how's it called? A speed bump.
And Well, I think a good matchup that, let's say, has also a winning strategy at the moment is this cut attack, as you mentioned, Phil. And, well, that won't play any null roads for sure. You have to be, you want to utilize your mana fast, you want to go over the top, and you play Consent and Memories, Passive Progress, and you just want to go upstairs. Go fix here. Yes, Tempo can play it, but I think the space is a little bit restricting. I think.
Yeah, it will be interesting how it shakes up, because I kind of think if a lot of players think they have such a big target on the head with Mystic Forge, maybe they don't play it, so we have a little bit less Mystic Forge, even though it was actually the winner of the meta game, because it anticipates so much hate. And then the guy...
Levels are real.
Yeah, and then the guy actually wins because he put in like 0 hate against the deck, because he's thinking like, okay, yeah, because they think they have such a big target, and they go down to 5%, he goes like, yeah, I won't play against it, totally skims on cards against this matchup, and he goes on to win the... I mean, everything can happen.
This works, yeah.
I guess it depends on how well he can play through the hate. Like, we had this situation with Reanimate the last couple of years. It was always target number 1, and it still performed. If Mystic Forge is in, despite all the 4-offs of consigns, or maybe some null rods or whatever, or void mirrors, it still can perform well. Yeah, it still will be at the top, and I think it will still be part of the most played metagame if you have a winning strategy. I don't know. You have Planeswalkers that don't get affected too much. You can consign 1 threat or 1 card. You can draw another ones, of course. If you resolve a 1 ring, okay, I fill up my hand again. But this will for sure be interesting for how this will be in the context of the meta. But it depends on what other decks we have.
Yeah, the only card that comes to my mind which really shuts the deck down would be Clarion Conqueror.
Yeah.
But that's a 3 mana threat.
Very restrictive.
And white, it's
not universal, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it will be pretty interesting how it shakes up. Because like last year we had it was kind of a way different situation. But on a similar phase, it was a similar situation because like nothing got banned last year from Eternal Weekend NA to Europe. Mystic Forge performed well there and performed pretty much poorly, I think, in Eternal Weekend Europe. It was definitely subpar to the North America counterpart.
Might be a little bit, but I think it was in top 8.
I think it was
in top 8.
I think it was 1 copy in top 8, but other than that, it wasn't really that big, and all because of like 1 additional sideboard slot on average that increased from NA to Europe. So maybe it changes here, but yeah, as I said, like the biggest decks got much worse or got banned outright.
Yeah, I think we can for sure count on Mystic Forge. We talked about this. Kata as like a counterpoint. I think this is the tempo deck that, of course, obviously doesn't get affected. It's really the purest tempo deck that we have in the format. I don't know how you feel that, but I'm actually a little bit unsure about blue-black tempo, because even though it got no card banned, but I see potentially still some issues.
I think blue-black Reanimator was basically at Eternal Weekend North America the worst matchup for the deck, actually, or a bad matchup for the deck. I think it was like 40%.
Tempo performed really bad
against Reanimator. I think it performed bad against the Nadu decks. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
And those decks actually got banned. So I think from a meta perspective, it should get better.
Yeah, also because they are playing Battlecruiser. And Battlecruisers are huge against Kata.
That is true. I'm not super afraid of Kata. Mystic Forge, we'll have to see. I think there it's more on par, actually, on power level, depending on how fast you can grant them out. What I'm a little bit afraid of, let's say, is Jeskai Control. It is, I think, a very hard matchup for that deck.
And Bluepost.
Bluepost is really, I think, also...
Yeah, it
should be bigger. And right now it's a very small deck, but actually Mado Energy is also in there. And I'm not sure how it will perform. at those 3 decks, I think with a tempo deck, I don't want to face. And this is, of course, now speculating, but I'm not sure if it's now a better position. Maybe it is, of course, because it was very, very bad before the ban somehow. And of course, a lot of people will be migrating to the deck, and you can tweak it. It's like a Chunt kind of style deck, and it makes sense to play it for sure. Baragorf is still very, very strong. Tamiyo is really strong. I'm just not super convinced that this will be now a top deck. I'm a little bit skeptic.
100%. It's just one top deck right now, and that's Mystic Forge. And everything else is way open.
I have one slightly hot take, maybe.
Okay. Hot take time.
Yeah. I think that maybe in the context of the future meta of the game, not if you think it like in a vacuum, right? In the context, I maybe could see that Breakfast actually gets better now.
Yeah. I'm 100%.
And I think it's not so clear because it got removed in Nadu from the deck, but I think this actually opens the opportunity to play a solid mana base.
Yeah, that's 100%.
Johan Larsson already got a 5-4 with Stoneforge Mystics.
Yes, you can play Stoneforge Mystic. I would just play straight blue-white and switch back to Cabal Therapy.
Yeah,
probably.
Mm.
This is, I think, what makes sense. You have the full playset of Tamiyo.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, you're also a fast combo deck. You can get, I think you somehow I'm a little bit excited for this deck.
Yeah. I'm 100% on the same ship as you, because it's again, we're trading now give me a Reanimator with the Tamiyo, with the plan B and plan A, plan B.
Yeah.
And Cephalic Breakfast has now the same things, even though Nadu got banned. It's just because you don't have to have green anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so huge.
And well, of course, Consign is, of course, is good against Breakfast, but Grave Rotate is, of course, also good against Breakfast, and usually what you also find a lot in main decks, and is less popular. I think for sure that main deck Grave Rotate is more or less gone.
It should be gone.
Should be gone. I think,
because like no Nahin Spellbomb should be played in blue like tempo.
And I think less very macabre. You can still have it, but I think more surgically. Because
probably, yeah,
it's just a more universal, better anti-combo card rather than specifically for Reanimator or Breakfast.
And what are in the current metagame even the graveyard decks? We have Breakfast, we have Oops.
That's it.
That's probably...
And Demir Tempo.
No, Demir Tempo, you don't put in the graveyard hate. It's, I mean, yeah, you can... No. I mean,
it depends. If you have ley lines, I mean, they are not bad against it.
But in this meta, would you want to have ley line?
No, that's true.
Yeah, and it's kind of how the ways goes.
But Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace is an awesome card.
It is awesome, but I think it's too heavy in this meta game.
That's so good against Mardu Energy because the Achanis can't flip. No,
but yeah.
It will be very, very interesting, actually.
And for myself, I'm actually, because I know Black Breakfast a little bit, I am super hesitant. I'm at the moment a little bit really torn between, of course, number one pick would be Tempo, because I know the deck quite well. But I am also a little bit excited about Breakfast somehow.
Break the itch. Scratch the itch. Then it's scratch the itch.
I mean, should we dive into Eternal Weekend?
No, just
okay.
Hot take time.
Hot take time
for you, Peter, right now. So Daniel had his hot take. What's your hot take?
It's so hard. I mean, my hot take is basically in 3 months we get rid of the one bringing Tamiyo. But yeah, for Eternal Weekend, what would actually be the deck that I would like to bring now? It's so hard, but I actually think I would want to stick with Cloudpost, actually, because you want to have the cons against the Forge deck. You still want to have some form of gravitate because, like as Daniel said, Breakfast is still there. Breakfast got multiple 5-0s. A lot of people are working on the deck list. As a Johan Larsen said, it's the age of the forge, the Stoneforge. I think Blue Cloudpost, even though actually I think Blue Black Reanimator was a positive matchup, is also quite a strong deck for this format.
What maybe would be interesting as well is what just come to my mind is Bowmasters. I think would be back on the menu for sure.
Oh yeah,
in a lot of ways. And if there's a lot of tempo or kata, maybe even other combo decks, I could see Grixis tempo as well. Like Molten Collapse is very nice in the mirror matchup sort of thing, and Pyroblast is all good against Breakfast. Sneak and Show, for example, also could be. It's a nice proactive deck that is also, I think, not to be underestimated in an open metagame that is not so clear at the moment.
Yeah,
I guess this is maybe the most important part. Right now, you should be proactive somehow, because how can you know if you, for example, play a control deck? How do you know how to pack your sideboard? How you want to react to certain things if you don't know what's on the table?
Yeah, that's true.
They're taking the hot takes out of my mouth. Be honest, I just wanted to say this, but fine.
You can mention the new Chalice show and tell list.
Wait, what? Chalice show and tell list? I haven't seen them. But yeah, my hot take would be keep your eyes open for show and tell. It will be everywhere. It's the only deck that can reliably cast Attracts on turn 1 or get Attracts on turn 1. And Attracts on turn 1 is still a huge play. So show and tell is going to be big. Right now, as you said, proactive decks. You have to be proactive right now. And what's more proactive than show and telling in an Atraxa?
Show and telling and omniscience and casting the Atraxa.
Oh, and then drawing Emrakul and casting Emrakul. And then, well, that's over. So maybe there should be something in the board for a Sneak and Show. I would expect it in Eternal Weekend. So, speaking of Eternal Weekend, we can go over to our next topic. It's happening in about 2 weeks, something like that. And we are so excited.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be really. I think it hasn't even started, and it's almost better as last year.
Yeah, it's so insane. Last year we had 3 artists or 4 artists, and then 2 of them didn't came or something like that.
Yeah, maybe for logistical reasons that they were not capable of controlling, but yeah. Now we have 19. Sorry, yes. Oh my God.
Are there more artists and players?
It's for sure, in that case, the biggest event I ever attended. I mean, GPs had a lot of those, but not 19, I think.
No. So this Eternal Weekend from artists,
really cool, yeah.
This is insane.
Super nice.
Peter is just not there because I don't know actually why, but you aren't there.
No, I am conducting as I'm always am. But yeah, no, I'm just excited for you because like last year kind of was a shit fest to some extent.
Just for organization wise.
For organization wise, I mean player wise for me too, but yeah, it was kinda I was really happy that the 4 season guys actually got to make the dream.
Yeah.
And make their own Eternal Weekend. And know the guys for all the 4 seasons that we went there. All the events were pretty much amazing, and I kind of expect nothing less from them.
So the bars are high.
The bars for them are really high, and it's kind of random. But if they would fuck up this, it would have like big damages to the 4 seasons as a brand.
Yeah.
And for everything that we know, they won't. It will be an amazing event, and I think they did a lot of stuff right. I mean, do we also have like the GP style day 2 now?
Yeah.
So it's perfect in that sense that they switched to that as well. And yeah, I'm just excited to sit here in the stream. Lots of our fellow friends basically talk over the tournament. We had Fenris Cloud in there that we all know. We have Julian. We have White Faces, Callum Smith.
Mhm.
And also we have our last guest, Andreas Peterson.
Yes.
So the lineup for the cast is amazing, and we will watch some pretty much good Legacy over there. And of course, we have the final between Philip and Daniel.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that won't happen. So, especially with the amount of preparation I have done for this Eternal Weekend, which is basically zero. So I don't expect huge waves from myself, to be honest.
So you prepped more walls than for Legacy.
Pardon?
So you prepped more walls.
Yeah,
for painting.
To be honest, I prep more German than anything else. So, which is kind of the more important stuff right now. But we will be there. We will be slinging wizard squares, and it will be a hell of a fun. And we're also not only playing Legacy, to be honest. We're also making our first deep dive into Vintage.
Yeah, true. Yeah, this will be fun.
I hope so.
Pretty sure we get really demolished.
I already expect 05.
Yeah, I expect nothing less than that, but or nothing more actually. Yeah, unpowered for the win, right? Unpowered scam.
Yeah.
You're also on scam, I think.
I mean, I already chose the deck last year, as I heard. Some guy was 28 or 26 with unpowered mono black scam, and I was like, how can I play the most banned cards out of Legacy without getting into power territory?
Yeah.
And that was pretty much scam, because Grief, Demonic Tutor, Troll of Castle Doom,
Yeah, Consultation,
Demonic Consultation,
Vexing Bubble.
Yeah, there are a lot of cards that are banned right now.
Yeah.
If we want to play banned cards, I mean, scam is a nice choice.
Yeah. And this will be sure fun. Never really played it. I mean, besides a little bit watching. It looks very nice, the format. The couple of games that I have played is really interactive and feels like, really exchanging a lot of resources and then top decking mode. And I think this is actually a nice style of Magic somehow. It feels even.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very interactive and it's very on. One card can really swing the table basically, and change the situation completely around, and it can be back and forth. It's not only that. Okay, now I snowballing kind of can happen, of course, but there's also other ways out. So
yeah, I think
very cool.
I don't know who this said, but yeah, Vintage is like you exchange so much on the first turn, because like usually with blue decks, you force, you Mental Misstep, you go down 3-4 cards in hand, and then you dawdle around until something happens basically. I mean, sometimes your opponent opens on Black Lotus into Luros, casting Black Lotus again, going Ancestral Recall, Time Walk, and then you basically lose the game.
Yeah.
But this is very rarely actually the thing. I mean, maybe in the end it happens kind of that way, but usually it's like a lot more fairly than other formats.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the phrase, Vintage is like two guys fencing each other, and then suddenly one pulls out the bazooka.
Yeah, then he draws it. Basically, Ancestral Recall. Okay, fair enough, you lose.
Yeah, we will go there from Thursday to Monday, something like that. And we're pretty hyped.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice.
So see you there.